Natural rubber produced from rubber trees, Hevea brasiliensis, is an important economic commodity in Indonesia and numerous other countries in Southeast Asia. At present, Indonesia has 3.3 million hectares of rubber plantations, mainly in Sumatra and Kalimantan. 85% of rubber plantations are managed by farmers in small plots of less than 5 hectares each. These smallholder rubber plantations have relatively low productivity, only about 750 kilograms per hectare per year, compared to twice this amount in more intensive large-scale plantations. Low rubber productivity is the main problem of smallholder rubber in Indonesia. The raw material produced by smallholders, locally known as bokar, also has low quality. The main reasons for low productivity of smallholder rubber systems are, first, the use of low-yielding rubber seedlings, and second, the practice of traditional systems without adopting available improved technologies. Likewise, the low quality of raw rubber material is because of the use of low-quality, unrecommended coagulants and poor post-harvest practices. To increase the productivity of smallholder rubber in Indonesia and the quality of raw material, technologies and technical guidelines are available for production of planting material of high-yielding rubber clones, control of rubber diseases, improved rubber tapping practice, and processing of raw latex. Bud grafting is an important part of the production of planting material of high-yielding rubber clones. Scions for grafting can be taken from existing rubber plantations or from established budwood nurseries. Grafted clonal propagules from budwood gardens are a better option to obtain the best quality planting material, since propagules derived from branch budwoods can have a low grafting success and their growth can be heterogeneous. Recommended clones for budwood or scion are Avros 2037, BPM 1, BPM 24, BPM 107, BPM 109, IRR 5, IRR 32, IRR 39, IRR 104, IRR 109, IRR 112, IRR 118, PB 217, PB 260, PB 330, PB 340 and RRIC 100. For establishing a budwood garden, the location should be on flat land, close to a road, near a water source, and free from diseases and flooding. The size of a budwood garden is normally based on the size of a rubber plantation to be established. For example, to establish a 25 hectare rubber plantation, the budwood garden should be about 1/4 of a hectare. Initial plants for budwood gardens can be either budded stumps or stumps developed in polybag. If the budwood garden is to produce numerous clones, then splitting the nursery into blocks, 1 block for each clone, is important to avoid mixing clones. The distance between plants in a budwood garden should be 1 metre by 1 metre, with a planting pit size of 40 centimetres by 40 centimetres by 40 centimetres. Planting should be done in the beginning of the rainy season in these pits. After planting budded stumps in the planting pits, the soil should be pressed firmly to ensure contact between the soil and root surface. If plants grown in polybags are used, the polybags must be carefully removed without disturbing the soil inside, before planting in the pits. Then the plant should be placed at the bottom of the pit and the pit carefully filled in with soil. The root section of the plant should be fully covered by soil inside the pit. The name of the clone should be clearly marked on a metal plate or on cement placed in the corner of each plot. The plate should contain the clone type, plot number, row number, and number of plants. Weeding is carried out regularly to keep the garden clean and to promote the growth of rubber plants. Fertilisers are applied as required. It is important that only branches from grafted scion developed and any other branches growing out naturally from the plant shoot must be removed as soon as possible. Pests and diseases should be controlled effectively and in time. Clone purification is a process of confirming the identity of stumps used for the production of scions in budwood gardens. As clones are a critical factor in rubber productivity, it is important to be 100% certain of clones being produced and distributed from the budwood garden. Clone purification should be done only by experts who know the clone characteristics very well. Scions for grafting can be harvested 1 year after planting the initial mother stumps in the budwood garden.
Kriteria atau cara-cara untuk pemanenan entres, pertama yang paling kita perhatikan adalah pertama kondisi batang entres ini benar-benar sudah baik. Kemudian untuk pemanenan entres yang baik itu kita perhatikan kondisi daunnya. Kondisi daun dalam pemanenan ini yang paling baik adalah kondisi daunnya adalah sudah tua atau kondisi dorman.
Harvesting is done by carefully cutting the budwood using a saw in a diagonal direction. The cut ends should be treated with paint or teerblanken TB 192 to avoid entry of diseases. The first cut is made at a height of 30 centimetres above the grafting union. In later years, 2 branches are retained for each stem. The cutting is made at 10 centimetres from the point of branching. The age of harvest and criteria is based on which grafting technique is used, green or brown grafting. Harvesting should be done in the morning. After harvesting, the budwood should be carefully handled to avoid any damage. For mature or brown budwood, the stems are cut to 1 metre in length, while for young or green budwood, the stem should be only 40 centimetres long. Both ends of budwood are dipped in liquid wax to avoid drying and entry of pathogens. Then the stems should be labelled and packed carefully. Banana stems are good for packing as they are soft and these keep the budwoods cool and moist. The packed budwood stems should be stored in a cool place or under shade while in budwood garden. Prepare a wooden box of size 60 centimetres by 40 centimetres by 40 centimetres. Prepare sawdust and moisten sufficiently with water. The moisture level is right when there are no water drips when the sawdust is pressed in the palm. First fill the box with sawdust up to 2 centimetres from the base. Arrange the budwood stems carefully on the sawdust with about 1 centimetre between two stems. Cover the budwood with another 2 centimetre layer of moist sawdust. Continue to stack alternate layers of budwood and sawdust with care taken near the top of the box. The box should be handled with utmost care during transport. After arriving at the destination, the box should be stored in a shaded and humid area with the lid open. Rubber seedlings are grown in a nursery. Scions or buds from budwood are grafted onto these seedlings. The seedlings should have strong and healthy roots and shoots. Good rootstock can be prepared by following proper land preparation for rootstock nursery, seed handling, germination, and nursery management. Production of good quality seedlings requires well-prepared land. The land should be easily accessible, relatively flat, nearby a water source, and free from pests and diseases. For large and flat areas, a tractor like this can be used to prepare the land for nursery establishment. The field is ploughed twice in a period of 3 weeks, followed by harrowing twice a week. The soil should be ploughed to a depth of 40 to 50 centimetres. The tractor shown has a 75 horsepower engine with 4 flat tractor plates or slots of 70 centimetres diameter. For sloping areas and small nurseries, land can be prepared manually. Again, the ploughing depth should be 40 to 50 centimetres. An access road is necessary in large rootstock nurseries. These roads provide easy access to seedlings for fertiliser application, seedling care and pest and disease control. These access roads should be built 11 to 12 metres apart. Each road should be 1.5 metres wide. Plotting helps in observation, maintenance, counting seedlings and preserving the soil. For flat areas, the plot can be 4.5 to 5 metres wide, depending on the planting distance and plot length. For sloping areas, the width of the plot depends on the field condition. After the field is ready for planting, picketing and lining of the area should occur to ensure a regular planting distance. Rubber seeds should be carefully selected as seed germination, seedling growth and latex production in the future depend on the quality of these seeds. Seeds should be collected from known clonal trees. Clones such as GT1, PR300, PR228, Avros 2037, LCB1320, BPM24 and PB260 are recommended for seeds used for producing good quality rootstock. The area for collecting seeds should be clean and clearly marked with rubber trees of the selected clone. Seeds of GT1 and PB260 make good rootstocks. The seed collection area should ideally be more than 100 metres from other rubber or mixed plantations to avoid mixing seed of different sources. It is important to ensure that seeds are collected only from known and recommended clones. Seeds from unknown source should not be used. Seeds are collected from the field every 2 days, then selected based on size, shape and colour. Seed selection can be done by dropping seeds on a cement floor. Good seeds will bounce well. Good seeds can be selected also by submerging in water to check the presence of endosperm inside the seeds. A good and healthy seed will float with about 1/3 of the seed above water and the remainder under water. Empty seeds, or those with damaged endosperm, will float fully on the water surface. Selected seeds can then be taken to germination beds to initiate germination. If the seeds are to be sent out, it is important to handle them well to maintain their vitality for good germination. Seeds can be germinated in 2 ways. First, seeds can be arranged in rows with a 1 cm gap between seeds. Second, the seeds can be spread on the germination bed, facing down.
Di dalam proses perkecambahan benih karet diperlukan bedengan. Kenapa demikian? Karena pada dasarnya biji karet ini tidak boleh terkena sinar matahari langsung. Kalau dia terkena sinar matahari langsung, dalam jangka waktu 1 minggu, daya kecambahan akan menjadi 0%. Nah, bedengan ini harus menghadap kepada sinar matahari hidup atau ke arah timur. Nah, ketinggian untuk ke arah timur itu sekitar 120 cm. Sedangkan yang ke arah barat itu sekitar 100 cm. Lebar bedengan ini sekitar 1 meter. Sementara panjangnya ini tidak terbatas, tergantung dari kebutuhan yang kita perlukan. Nah, di dalam perkecambahan ini kita memerlukan media. Media ini bisa kita gunakan serbuk gergaji, tetapi bisa juga kita gunakan pasir, tergantung dari ketersediaan bahan yang ada di lokasi. Tetapi kalau kita menggunakan serbuk gergaji, media ini harus disterilkan dengan menggunakan D10 M45. Nah, di dalam penyusunan biji karet ini bisa dilakukan secara berbaris atau juga dengan cara ditebar. Nah, kalau dengan berbaris 1 meter itu sekitar 1000 sampai 1200 per meter persegi, tergantung pada benih yang kita gunakan. Kalau benihnya lebih besar itu jumlah per meternya lebih sedikit. Nah, dengan cara ini mempunyai kerugian karena memerlukan waktu yang lama. Tetapi di dalam pemindahan ke lapangan ini bisa dilakukan secara bertahap karena akarnya ini tidak saling bersentuhan. Bisa juga dilakukan dengan ditebar kalau jumlahnya banyak. Tetapi di dalam pemindahan ke lapangan, benih secara ditebar ini harus dilakukan secara cepat. karena antara perakarannya biasanya sering bersinggungan.
Normally, rubber seeds germinate in 5 to 21 days after sowing. Soon after the radicals emerge, the seeds should be transferred to rootstock nursery. Delays can increase stress and impact on the survival of seeds. In the rootstock nursery, germinated seeds should be planted at 20 by 20 by 50 cm spacing for green grafting. About 140,000 seedlings per hectare can be expected at this density. However, for brown grafting, the spacing has to be wider at 40 by 40 by 50 cm, with 56,000 seedlings per hectare. In the rootstock nursery, planting holes are dug with a stick and the germinated seeds carefully placed in these holes. Each seed should be planted in a hole with its roots facing down and shoot facing up so the seedling can grow straight. Good management of rootstock nursery consists of 4 important activities. Replacing dead or damaged seeds with germinated seeds that are older. Regular weeding and cleaning, pest and disease control, and fertiliser application. Grafting is a method of vegetative plant propagation where the tissue of one plant is encouraged to fuse with that of another. In the case of rubber buds from a scion or stem of a recommended high-yielding rubber tree, these are grafted onto stems of rubber seedlings or rootstock. Grafting is carried out where the properties of 2 varieties of a species are desired in the new plant. Bud grafting of rubber is to produce plants with shoot properties of the plant from which scion is prepared, while the root system retains the good qualities of the rootstock. With bud grafting, good planting materials, such as open budded stumps in polybags, or high stumps, can be produced.
Setelah entres kita potong, kemudian kita bawa ke kebun pembibitan untuk melakukan pengokulasian. Pengokulasian ini pertama yang sangat kita perhatikan adalah kondisi batang bawah. Kondisi batang bawah sudah kondisinya baik, daunnya sudah tua.
The rubber seedlings must be of an appropriate age and size for grafting. For green grafting, the stem of the seedling should have a diameter of 0.5 to 1 centimetre at 5 to 10 centimetres above ground. Normally, rubber seedlings reach this size at an age of between 3 and 4 months, but the stems are still green in colour. For brown grafting, the stem diameter of more mature seedlings in the nursery should be between 1.5 and 2 centimetres. The seedlings should be between 8 and 18 months old, and the bark colour is already brown. The bark of rootstock seedlings is cut open to prepare a grafting window. Only seedlings that are ready for grafting should be used. A grafting window can be opened in several steps. First, clean the stem of the seedling with a clean napkin to scrub away any sand and soil. Take a clean and sharp grafting knife. Starting at 5 to 10 centimetres from the ground, carefully make a clean, straight upward cut, 5 to 7 centimetres long on the bark. About 1/3 of the stem from the first cut, make another parallel cut of the same length. Make a cross cut between the top of the two vertical cuts. Using the tip of the knife, carefully peel off the bark from the top to open the grafting window. The window is ready for patching a bud from scion. The next step is to transfer the bud onto the stem of rootstock seedling. On a scion cut from budwood stock, choose a good bud located above the leaf petiole. Keeping the bud at the centre, cut a slip about 1 centimetre wide and about 5 centimetres long. Make sure the position of the bud is facing upwards. Lift the bud slip with a small amount of the woody part. Pull the woody part from the bud slip. Ensure the bud slip doesn't break or twist. Do not touch the inside of the bud slip. The inside of a good and healthy bud slip has a small but clear white node, which is the inner side of the bud. If the node is missing and there is a hole instead, then the bud is missing or damaged, and the bud slip should not be used for grafting. Carefully open the grafting window by holding the tip of the cut bark with the knife and one finger. Without touching the inside, gently but quickly patch the bud slip onto the open stem. Try not to move the slip after patching. Cut off any excess bark from the window. A tightly fitting bud slip inside the window is the aim. Wrap the cut and bud slip with a strip of grafting plastic to prevent water and dirt from getting in.
Setelah kita lakukan okulasi, umur 3 minggu atau 21 hari, okulasian kita buka dan kita periksa apakah okulasi itu hidup atau mati.
In a close grafting system like this, the plastic wrapper has to be cut off and a small cut made on the bud slip. If the bud slip is still green, meaning it is alive, the grafting was successful. In the nursery, seedlings with successful grafting can be marked by hanging a small piece of grafting plastic on the shoot. The main stem of the seedling of a successful grafting is cut off at 60 to 75 centimetres above the ground. Ensure the grafted bud is not damaged. After a week in the nursery bed, the plant can be uprooted using a pulling jack. After pulling out, prune the lateral roots, leaving a tap root of about 30 to 35 centimetres long. The remaining shoot should also be cut using a saw in a diagonal direction at about 10 centimetres above the grafting point. Again, make sure not to damage the grafted bud. The top of the stem is then covered with teerblanken, TB, to prevent fungus infecting the cut and rotting the stem. The grafted plant is now ready for planting in the field or in a polybag for temporary storage. Planting material prepared in this manner is known as budded stump. Good quality budded stump should have a straight and strong taproot, no branches on the stem and a well-established grafted bud. Budded stumps should be taken out for planting in the field when they have 1 or 2 mature whorls growing out from the budded graft. Any branch growing out directly from the rootstock should be quickly removed.